evening, entrepreneurs and visionaries. Welcome to another Monday Night Live training, where your journey to business success accelerates. Join us for insights, strategies, and tools to elevate your business while keeping your budget in mind. It's time to transform your passion into profit. Your host, Corey von Bill Foster, is about to take the stage. Get ready to be inspired and empowered. The future of your business starts now.
All right. I think we're cooking. Happy Monday. Look, happy Monday before Christmas. Oh my goodness. To be the week of Christmas as a business owner is always an interesting tale. I'm telling you guys, it's interesting. I have some clients who have kind of closed it down for the year. They're like, we're done. And I have some business owners who are like grabbing those last few contracts, last few clients before the year ends. And I get it, right? It depends on kind of where you are in business, what goals you had set, and where you are emotionally right now. It is the wild, wild west out here. But wherever you are in business, I hope that no matter if you achieved every goal you set, or if some things just didn't turn out the way you had anticipated, I do encourage you this week to at least take off. Now, if you don't celebrate Christmas, take off whatever day makes sense for you, but take off some time this holiday season to just enjoy yourself, enjoy your family, enjoy peace, enjoy relaxation, enjoy not worrying about work. Okay? Because we do not do this thing called business to be stressed out 365 days a year. We don't do this thing called business to miss out on amazing time with family, with friends, miss out on good food, good fellowship. Make sure you are taking time to have fun. Okay, no matter what, because at the end of the day, that's what life's about. It's not about how much money we make. It's not about how many clients we serve. All those things are amazing. But for the holiday season, I do want you guys to put business into the perspective of your life and realize it's not everything, right? It isn't the end all be all. However business worked out for you this year does not reflect on who you are as a person, right? It does not dictate your worth. So please make sure that, like I said, you are just taking time to kind of step back, unplug, and enjoy. I know for my team, we are taking off Christmas Eve, Christmas Day after Christmas, the weekend. And it's not that we don't have plenty of work we could be doing, but I'm having that boundary, and I would love for them to have that boundary as well. We do have some team members who may not celebrate Christmas. I was like, take it off anyway. Enjoy yourself. Because we're not gonna be working. So that's where we are, because we're actually in the midst of like a big shift in our back end now, and I don't know what is going on. StreamYard has been playing with us in the tech, so hopefully it'll catch up, because it better get right before the new year. It better get right, because I've been on plenty of meetings this week, well, not this week, but lately, and no issue. And StreamYard cut up last week, and it's cutting up today. It better stop. I rebuke it. All right. Anyway. We're down to the last two Monday Night Lives. Oh my gosh. The last two for the year, but the last two, we have been doing Monday Night Lives for the past, I think this is what, year 3? Oh, there we go. It's been a long time. So we have 2 more to go today and next Monday. Hey, like it's trying. I keep seeing the thing. I don't know if it's cutting up on your side, but it's cutting up on my side. But yeah, I'm excited. We have been able to give so much value over this time together, being here every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, dropping gems and resources and information. And we're going to make sure that we end the year the way we started this segment. And don't feel bad, guys. Like, I want to be very clear. We have some amazing things coming next year. We're doing things a little differently. And some of that has to do with, your girl has been struggling to do all the tech things with being visually impaired. It's not that we can't do stuff. Sometimes we just got to do things a little different. And so me sitting here by the things that are live will probably be a different time of the day to get some support. Hopefully we're fixed. I'm just looking. Hopefully, because I can't do nothing about it, y'all. You know, and I tell my clients this too. Don't be stressed out. Like, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. So I think we're live. I think it's trying. I don't know why the internet's cutting up. I've turned off everything else, so it should be fine. Let me, you know what? I'll even turn off the glasses because that may be. I doubt it's interactive, but we'll turn that off too. I'm trying to cut off all the tech around the device, but all right, we're gonna rock and roll. All right, let's see. Are we making it work this time? I'm gonna switch glasses. I turned off my glasses. We're gonna put on the regular glasses and see if that'll help too. Yeah, we can't make it work. I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know. But yeah, so like I said, we're gonna have some really cool educational segments for you guys next year. They just won't be Monday Night Live. Anyway, let me get into it while the internet is not tripping out. So tonight we're gonna be talking about money. Because we've been kind of really focusing on really planning strategically for 2026. I think it's so important as small business owners that we treat our businesses like the businesses we want the business to grow into, not the business it currently is. And what I mean by that is, just being frank, some people are treating their businesses like hobbies, but calling them businesses, right? When they're tired, they're like, well, I'm just going to take a break. I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to do this. And it's like, you playing with his business. You playing with it. And you're not treating it like a real business. Like, these bigger companies can't just pause because they're having a bad day, close because, they're having a little bump in the road with cash flow. Like, we have to do what we have to do. And so because of that, I want you guys to not be reactive next year to this, but to be proactive and say, okay, if I want my business to grow, if I want my business to serve this many people, if I want to hit these milestones, then what are the money things that I need to have in place to ensure that, right? It's not just about revenue. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. But before we do, let me at least try to get through my intro because I was like, I didn't talk for a while now and it's just been tech stuff. So I'm Corey Palmer Foster. I'm a speaker. I am a business coach specializing in business implementation. And I'm also the CEO of iRock Marketable Business Solutions, which is a small business marketing firm based out of Virginia, servicing amazing coaches, consultants, and other service-based small business owners all over the country. Woo, we got it out. All right. So back to the money part. So when you're thinking about money, right, you need to be thinking at least, and this is just because, again, these are small businesses, at least 365 days out. So a lot of you got excited over Black Friday and bought different platforms, right? Maybe you bought a new CRM, maybe you bought a new emailing platform, maybe you bought a new e-course platform, a community platform. A lot of y'all, and I get it, but now you need to be able to afford that for the whole year, right? So really look at what are your expenses going to be for the whole year, right? Those fixed expenses that are going to come out every single month. I personally like to pay as much as I can off for like a year because one, you usually get a discount, but two, I don't have to think about it as much. I just got to make sure I got the money the following year. So really look and see, okay, what are your new expenses? Did you go through and get rid of any platforms that you're not currently using or that are kind of duplicates in what they do to platforms that maybe you are using more often, right? Some of you may have 2 platforms that can email out. You don't need 2, get 1, right? Some of you have 2 platforms that can schedule your social media. You don't need to. So really go through and kind of cut the fat where you can. Get rid of anything that isn't serving you. And look at that. Also, some of you have not been paying yourselves all year. You need to change that. So also, as you're planning for next year, think about what does your income look like from your business. Now, I'll be very honest. When I shift people personally as a coach from not paying themselves to paying themselves, we kind of do a sliding scale, right? We do a projection. We say, okay, you're getting paid 0 now. What do we want you to get paid that first quarter of the year? What do we want you to be paid in quarter 2? Quarter 3, quarter 4, so that it isn't like a big hit to your finances unless you can handle it. Because I definitely get the idea of like, oh, I want to pay myself, but currently your business isn't making it to pay yourself. So, okay, well, we're going to change that. We're going to bring in more. But typically, as you make more money and you get more clients, you have like a little bit of a systems issue where your systems and your software aren't caught up to handle it. So you have to kind of reinvest. So all that money doesn't go straight to profit. Right? It doesn't all go into your pocket. So I'm very cognizant of that when I work with people and say, okay, well, if you're going to start paying yourself, let's kind of start on a sliding scale to get you by the end of the year where you want to be. And hey, we can move there faster. Great. We can also put in kind of milestones to say, hey, if you hit this amount of revenue, we can kind of move up the timeline of when that next pay bonus is going to be. We also look at, as you're building out, what kind of team support are you going to outsource? Right. And I really push for this a lot earlier than a lot of people want to. Right. As a business owner, you're like, I can't afford to be paying nobody else. I can barely afford to pay myself. But the truth is, a lot of times by paying for extra team members, they really kind of help you scale faster, if that makes sense. So right now, you're only able to do less than 24 hours a day in work, right? Most people are doing about 8 hours a day. Maybe you're going crazy doing 10, 12 hours. But at the end of the day, you as one person can only do so much. That means you're working in and out of your, working in your business and working on your business all that time. But you can only do so much. So when we add team members, they take a lot of those non-CEO tasks off you so that you can do more and actually be more productive. So I always ask my clients, like, okay, what are some of the tasks that you can truly give up that would not only free you up, like free up your time, which is nice, right? Stuff you don't want to do, but also allow you to do more making money things, right? You shouldn't be up here spending all your time drafting emails, spending all your time sending invoices and things like that. You could be on sales calls. You could be at networking events talking to folks. You could be making, assets for ads, all that kind of stuff while somebody else is doing some of those non-CEO tasks. But you can't have that if you don't hire somebody. So I encourage you, even if you are currently a solo entrepreneur, if you have a non-brick and mortar business, go ahead and start thinking about team, right? And there's multiple ways to bring on team. A lot of people think, oh, I got to be able to afford somebody's salary, right? Especially y'all who come from corporate. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't have, $50,000, $100,000 to pay somebody a salary. Nobody's asking you to do that, right? Nobody's asking you to do that. You probably, if you've never hired someone to work with you, you probably don't even have the structure to give somebody enough work to be salaried. Right? Not to say that you don't have a lot of work that's out here. You just don't even have the system set up to be able to offboard that to someone else. And so I encourage you to think, who do you need support by, right? Are you really in need of maybe somebody who really can do some admin tasks? Are you really in need of marketing? Are you really in need of sales? Are you really in need of lead gen? right? Are you in need of somebody to build out some products for you? What are you really in need of? Hire that person first. And they don't have to be on full time. Some of you need people project based to do some things for you, right? You may have an amazing product, but your back end is just a mess. So you don't have nothing automated, right? Have somebody come in for a limited amount of time and set up all your automations for you. Flat rate, they in, they're out, they're not on your payroll. Maybe some of you are like, hey, I'm so bogged down. I've made some really great connections, but I can't even respond to people. My email is flooded, right? Have a VA come in and do admin work with you for a couple hours, a couple times a day. I'm not a couple times a day, but a couple times a week, right? So maybe give them about 10 hours a week and call it a day, right? That's freelance work. That's contract work, right? And then some of you are like, well, I'm so stuck with cash flow right now. Like I won't have anything to the end of the month. A lot of times you can negotiate with these people to say, hey, I pay out on this date. Like I'll be very frank, my company pays out on the 1st of every month. So if we bring on somebody new and they start on the 15th of the month, they're not going to get paid until the 1st of the month. And it depends on when we submit payroll. They may be with us for a while before they get their first pay. And so you really have to be cognizant of like, how can I get this thing done with integrity, right? And ethically, but also like what makes sense cash flow wise for me. Because some of you know, like, oh, I would be able to make this money if I could go ahead and send out all these proposals or do all these phone calls, but you can't because you're so bogged down with other tasks. So I just encourage you to really think through, where is your money gonna go? Like, how can you get the most bang for your buck out of your money? And stop thinking like you're just in corporate, right? Because that's just not the way of it. And also, I'll be very frank. I had someone ask me one time, because we're talking about team building. They asked me like, why don't I hire like Americans more? And I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to hire Americans. I would love to hire women who are Americans. I would like to hire Black women who are Americans. Unfortunately, but fortunately, like our cost of living here is so much higher than other places. And I'll give you an example. So we have VA services that we sell. I have wanted for the longest to have American VAs, right? Again, Black women VAs, woo woo, it would be so exciting. But you guys, right? The people who buy the VAs will tell me, and I'm telling you this is verbatim. They'll be like, oh, I can get a VA in the Philippines for $4. I can get a VA, in wherever for, $7. And I mean, it's always like that. And so it isn't smart business for us or sustainable for us to hire people who, because we have to pay them, we have to make a profit that you wouldn't even buy from us, right? You would never use these women you want me to hire because you wouldn't pay for it. We would be so overly, expensive. And I always tell people, like, if you want me to find one and you're willing to pay it, I will. But that can't be our base business practice because it doesn't make sense for how you guys actually buy that product, right? So I encourage you guys to really think strategically for your business. As you grow, you might be able to make some more, fun, creative choices on who you bring on and who you work with. But do what you got to do for now. Again, ethically, responsibly, all that fun stuff. But yeah, keep that in mind that sometimes you have to go abroad to be able to bring in talent as a small business owner to stay in competition with your competitors and actually get support. Especially early on. Now I have a mix right now. I do have like my chief operation officer is an American. My interns are Americans. But everybody else in the team is from all over, all over. And I'm okay saying that out loud because they're still great. They're still experts. But again, for what we do and how we try to be affordable to our clients, we have to do things maybe differently than I would prefer, or some of my I almost want to say haters, but some of my critics would care to have things a little differently. So again, think about team, thinking about yourself getting paid. Also think about kind of those I wish I could, right? For many years, my business, we never did like paid ads, right? It wasn't even a thought in our budget. I really encourage everyone at this point, because social media, organic marketing only will get you so far. It's a great thing to have, and I think everyone should have it, but don't try to put all your eggs in that basket, because a lot of times people just aren't going to see it. So it's really important, especially initially, to get people kind of in your business ecosystem to run ads, whether you're doing YouTube ads, TikTok ads, Google ads, Meta ads, whatever the case may be. You probably need to have an ads budget. Right, it ain't got to be a lot. Like I definitely know some people who have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on ads in a year, but I also know people who spent, a couple $1,000s on ads in a year. Heck, I know people spend a couple $100 on ads in a year. Do what you can, make smart choices, run your ads strategically to get the most out of it. But just, keep that in mind. That's an expense you want to put in your ledger for next year. Also, for those of you who do need to travel or do need to go to networking events, sometimes these events cost money. Sometimes it's worth it, right? Some of you have really high-end services and you need to be in places where high-end people are. That may mean going to, I don't want to say dinner dates, but, going to a dinner to discuss a business opportunity. Right, being at a fancy hotel to discuss things. Like, different things happen, going to different events. Like, I have an event I'm going to in January. Luckily I didn't have to buy a ticket, but the tickets are a couple $100. But it's worth it to be in that networking space to make those connections, right? Because if you network strategically, you can leave those kind of events with enough connections to really make that trip worthwhile for you and more. So some of you who need to be in front of folks to really land some contracts and really be able to shake hands and see people eye to eye, put that in your budget as well to say, okay, well, I might need travel expenses. I may also need, additional expenses for what have you, to be able to get in front of the people I need to get in front of. For those of you who are new, sorry if you can hear that, there's like fire trucks and stuff going on behind me. For those of you who are maybe new to speaking, it is a bit of a pay to play at the beginning. If you don't have the right connections or the best of luck, that's what I'm gonna say. Sometimes you got to pay to get your foot in there, especially if you don't have your demo reel and things together and you're not very, ready to pitch yourself. Excuse me. You may need to think about like, hey, am I going to pay to speak at a few things? Am I going to pay to do some applications for awards? Am I going to pay for a grant writer, right? And I'm not saying this is like make you be like, oh my God, this is going to be so hard. But I just want you to start thinking about the money, right? Because we spend so much time thinking about revenue. And then sometimes y'all think about profits every blue moon. But I also really want you to dive into your expenses, because when we set up really thinking about our expenses and our goals, we are truly going to be set up for profits. Because what tends to happen is you guys will make some money eventually, right? If you keep working at it long enough, you're going to make some money. But then what happens is you made money, but you don't feel it because your expenses eat everything up. And that's because you didn't plan enough for those expenses. So I really wanted to spend this conversation, even though it feels like a Debbie Downer, before Christmas. But I want you guys to think about those expenses, because when we think about those things, like I said, and we plan for them, then we're able to truly pocket more profits for ourselves and really start feeling those wins that we're having revenue-wise. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, really think through that. And then also, and this, I'm saying this is somebody who I got to do better. Look, I know better, so I should do better. But taxes are going to come every year, y'all. Taxes are going to come every year. Be setting aside money for your taxes. Technically, you should be doing quarterly taxes. Some of you are at a place where you really need to be talking to a business tax professional. You may need a professional bookkeeper. You may need to invest in some type of money management, like a QuickBooks, something to really keep your files in order, because y'all don't want to get out here and get in trouble. Again, we're trying to keep as much of our income. You can't keep it if the government takes it all away or you end up in jail because you might pay your taxes. So please be smart. Yes, early on, if you're not making a lot of money, sure, you can, do a little bit of, you do your taxes with your personal and have a great day, a little something. But eventually, right, you're going to outgrow your family tax person and need to really get somebody who's going to keep you doing what you need to do. And also, when you get to a certain level with your taxes, they're not just saying, oh, you got to pay XYZ. They're thinking like long term, like, oh, are you going to need to, do additional things, right? I'm not a tax person, but there's some additional things you can do with your money. And you need to be able to talk to them before tax time to know like when you should be doing different things, just to make sure you're doing the best for yourself tax wise. Because a lot of people, and oh my God, I would say it because he's not going to see it, but I had a conversation with a young guy recently. And he was like, I'm gonna tell you now, I want to start a business so I can write everything off and not have to pay nothing in taxes. And I was like, okay, well, I get the vibe, I get the vibe. I said, but truth be told, if you write everything off in your business, then it really, at the end of the day, it's really your business ain't making no money. Right? If you can get away with not paying any money back, because he's like, I don't want to pay nothing back. I was like, if you're doing that, that means your business is in the negative. And if your business is constantly in the negative, you're not like, what are you doing it for? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. Because he wanted to eventually, first he didn't want to write nothing. He wanted to write everything off. And I was like, okay, that shows your business in the negative. But then he wanted to be a business coach. And I was like, well, you can't be a business coach if your business ain't successful. At least you shouldn't be, year after year after year. So we kind of talked about that. I said, it's not a bad thing to have to pay some in taxes, especially when you get to a place where you want to get like loans and things. Like you can't ask these people for money. You've been in business for 5 years and you've been in the negative for 5 years. They're gonna be like, you ain't no money today. You ain't gonna have no money tomorrow. And so we had a candid conversation. I said, I totally get this feeling of being like, I don't want to pay anything. I was that person back in the day that was like, hey, I remember telling my tax professional, I said, if Trump don't pay taxes, I don't want to pay taxes. And I said it just like that. And I was dead serious. And then it took 1 year where she was doing what she was doing. And I had wrote off my little hearts. I mean, I was a write-off queen. Like, okay, cool. Business look like it's in a negative. And I needed that following year. I was like, ooh, ran into a little cash flow issue. I was like, I want to get a loan. I said, yeah, the business doing good. We all right. Somebody gonna give me some money, like, especially like my banks. I was like, my banks know I'm good for it. Banks is like, girl, you ain't got no money. Your tax forms say you broke. I was like, but you see, I got money in the bank. They're like, but your tax forms say you're broke. We can't give you nothing. And that hurt. And after that, I realized like this isn't a long game strategy. Like it felt good in the moment. I felt like I was getting away with something, but it's not lucrative to your business. Your business should make money. Now, yes, there are things you can deduct. There are things you should be deducting. There's ways to make smart decisions. And that's why as a business person, sometimes you got to grow and invest in, again, that money, invest in the right tax professionals, those CPAs, the bookkeepers, all of the folks to make sure that they are guiding you through how to handle your money. Some of you may need even financial advisors to tell you how to manage your money. And again, it's hard when your business isn't maybe where you want it to be, because you're like, well, again, that's more money, right? And it's like, yeah, but it really sets you up for the longevity and the scalability and the sustainability of your business. Okay, so these are things I just want you to keep in mind. Like, I'm not here to yuck your yum, but as we go into the new year, you may need to start doing things differently than you were doing it in the past. You may not just want to have, because some of y'all got goals. I've been talking to people about their goals already. I hear plenty of revenue goals, but I don't hear nothing else. I'm like, where are the rest of your finances? And they're like, what finances? I got a revenue goal. And so I just encourage you guys to really pull your sheets, right? All the different data points you have on your finances. Relook at the goals you have and really take a hard look and say, well, how can I make smarter decisions in the new year to get to my goal, to be able to pay myself, to build out team so that I can do even more? Because again, one person's capacity is one person's capacity. And it doesn't matter how amazing you are. Like I get told all the time, you do a lot. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. But at the end of the day, I still too can only do so much. And you don't want to get to a point where you max out and you're burnt out and you're overwhelmed, and then your business suffers because you did not act quickly enough to build out and pay for, let's just be clear, pay for team and system support. Okay. team and system support. Stop treating your business like a hobby and start really investing in what matters for the longevity and the success of your business. Now, why am I not going into details about you should do this over this and this and this? It's very much I feel an individualized, like person by person situation. I'm always welcoming you guys to do a call. We still have a few like times available before the end of the year if you want to get on a call to talk about your business plans and things like that. And I'm happy just to chat with you. Free chat, not an issue. If you're interested, feel free to put chat in the comments or reach out, not an issue at all. But I don't give blanket. First of all, I'm not a financial consultant in any way, shape, or form. But I also would not give out like you got to do X, Y, and Z in a general sense because everybody's situation is different. And I know that firsthand. When I first started my business, I was on disability, very fixed income, didn't have no savings left over. And so I would hear coaches tell people do this, this, and this, pull out credit cards. You can do this and this. And I had no credit cards to pull out. So I will never tell you go and do whatever as a blanket statement. I'm very much like, hey, individualize. And that's why I said, think about these things, see what makes sense for you in your business, and then get on a call with somebody to really figure out what's the best support for you based on what your business is looking like, your business goals, where you may be willing to maneuver, in different areas a little bit. And like I said, get the experts. Like, yes, it's expensive to hire an expert, but it's worth it. Because once you do it, now you have the knowledge. And again, you don't have to have these people on your books all year round, right? A lot of CPAs will have a conversation with you, right? A tax professional will have a conversation with you, or you can pay for a conversation to at least understand kind of where you need to be thinking and what you need to kind of put in place, and not have them on your books all year. So don't count yourself out, because I find this happens a lot. Don't count yourself out before diving in. Just because you assume you can't afford something. Because truth be told, you can't afford not to get your money in order, right? Get your money house in order when it comes to your business. Most businesses, have great products, I feel, especially in our industry, but a lot of them can't sustain, and people are like, well, I can't afford to keep this going. And so they close shop, right? So don't let that be you. But anywho, that is it for today. I'm not going to talk you guys to death. We have one more. Where's my little phone here? One more Monday Night Live next Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be back here, hopefully with no tech issues. Please definitely join us. It's the last one. And also be on the lookout for what we got coming up. We got some cool stuff coming up, guys. I was just telling my people today, I said, I'm really excited. Our team is bigger. It's better. Our resources are just amazing. We got some cool stuff coming. So definitely stay tuned, stay tapped in, and stay focused on your business, right? You are going to be so surprised about the amazing things you're going to be able to achieve in 2026. And I hope to be around to hear about it and see it and cheer you on and be a part of your journey, even if it's in a very small way. But guys, remember, I rock, you rock. We all rock, and I will see you guys next time.